Hey, what's going on? It's Thomas Galdenzi with Combat Sports Coverage. And on this episode, I'll be interviewing top mixed martial arts promoter Eric Garcia, who's the CEO of Fury Fighting Championship and Submission Pro Hunter Super Fight Grappling Series. I gotta ask you about this crazy story that happened a couple weeks ago at Fury Fighting Championship 43. At your weigh-ins, the TDLR commission, I came into your weigh-ins and I guess canceled/postponed your event less than 24 hours away from Fury Fighting Championship 43. Can you kind of walk me through that crazy scenario?
Man, honestly, I wish they would have canceled it at weigh-ins, but they ended up canceling it 2 hours before the doors opened. So we had the whole venue set up. Me and my crew had the whole venue set up. We came in, we ran the full weigh-ins, did face-offs, collected tickets and ticket money. The event was set. Everybody went home. Fighters rehydrated. We were back at the venue getting things ready to open the doors on fight day the next day. And I got a call from the lead inspector, Gus Calderon, who was working the show. And he said, man, they just pulled all events this weekend. So we ended up shutting the show down, canceling the show or postponing the show 2 hours before the doors opened. It's a headache.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I thought it was at weigh-ins. Yeah, that's even crazier to hear. It was just 2 hours before the event actually started. That must have been a crazy situation. I guess you had to call the fighters, let everybody know. How crazy was that? Like, did people still show up kind of to the event trying to get in or anything?
Yeah, well, I mean, I got with my staff and I got with Rich Burmaster, Mike Jackson, some of the guys that have media outlets, and we posted and told everybody what had happened. We shared the email from the licensing department saying that all events were canceled until further notice, starting with that March 13th weekend of events. And then I basically touched base with coaches and fighters through a group message that we have and told them what had happened, and if they could start relaying the messages to all their fans and let them know that we would be at the venue, from the same time the doors opened until about 9 p.m., refunding ticket money and people that wanted to get their money back for tickets they had bought.
Man, that's wild. I'm sorry to hear that craziness had to happen to you guys. And then is the event canceled or is it postponed? Like, will your next event that you have, will it be that March 13th card that you had scheduled, or will it be a different one?
Yeah, so we kept the full card and we let everybody know that we would bump that date to May 22nd in Humble, and that we would, as long as they were good with the matchups and they wanted to, stay on the card, that we would just move that card to May 22nd at the Civic Center in Humble, which is our home venue that we started at. Then, more news broke, a couple weeks ago that they were canceling all events for May. So now it's kind of up in the air as to when that card will take place. But I'm staying in contact with everybody and with the staff and the venues and coaches with everything going on and gyms being closed and whatnot. As soon as this thing lifts, then we're going to set a date. We're not going to set any more dates and take a chance of things getting canceled again.
That's definitely the smart thing to do. And hopefully this all gets lifted soon so you can get back to putting on some of your great shows. But I got to ask you, recently it was announced that your flyweight champion, Jacob Silva, was signed to Dana White's Contender Series. What can fans expect from your flyweight champion heading into the Dana White's Contender Series?
Oh, man, before I even started promoting shows, I've always been a fan of Jacob Silva. So he was a friend of mine. I knew him personally. I watched him make his amateur debut for Legacy Amateur Series years ago, and his debut fight was actually a title fight against another friend of mine, Joe Trevino. But ever since then, I knew that kid had a work ethic like no other. So once he went through his amateur career, he fought some of the toughest guys, and he turned pro, and he started off a little rocky, but he had hard determination to meet his goals, and I was determined to help him get there. And just seeing the growth that he has had over the years, I feel like he's going to be a contender for sure. when he goes in there, I expect fireworks when he hits that Contender Series show. And there's no doubt in my mind that he's going to get a contract.
I agree. I'm a big fan of Jacob Silva. Everyone needs to be watching that fight because that guy might be small for 125 pounds, but he's a finisher and he can knock people out.
Definitely.
Then your promotion, Fury Fighting Championship, is one of the top feeding promotions to big promotions like UFC and Bellator. How does it feel knowing you've helped guys like Alex Morano, Jeff Neal, and so many other top fighters make it to the big leagues?
Oh man, it feels great. Obviously that's what we're here for. It's a business at the end of the day. So everybody wants to run a successful business, but the whole purpose of this is to help guys make it. Guys that really want to make it is to help them get to that next level. And some people don't know, but I started as a fighter. I was a fighter first, turned promoter. So I know what it's like to put in the time, to put in the work, to spend money on training camps and not get a big return, on this level. But ultimately, the goal is to get these guys to the bigger show so they can make a living and, fulfill their dreams. It feels great.
And that was actually one of my other questions. Being I used to be a high-level fighter, you're a really good fighter. You know what it takes to train, to do a training camp, to step into the cage. Do you think that's a benefit for being a promoter?
I do, because I know the time that it takes. It gives me a different outlook on it. As far as these guys having to get the medicals done, what it takes to have a family, and have a wife and kids and whatnot, and still have to train. And, if they have day jobs, they got to go to work, and then the pressures that the promotion puts on them, to sell tickets and everything. So, I have a different outlook on it. I have a different patience, I would say, more understanding than somebody who decides they just want to try and get into this business and they've never really been on the other side,
And do you follow the guys that you have had in your promotions that do go to like Bellator and UFC? Do you follow their careers?
Oh yeah, definitely. Every guy that has fought from me, whether they went straight from Fury to a bigger organization or they went from Fury to LFA to another organization or from Fury to whatever to another organization, I keep track of how they're doing and what they're doing, and man, I get excited when I see how well they're doing. It's great.
So tell me a little bit about your 205-pound champion, Hurricane Ike, who's on a 4-fight winning streak, and those 4 fights all come by first-round knockout or TKO, and his last 2 victories were over 2 UFC veterans. How far away do you think we are from seeing him maybe make it into the UFC or Bellator?
Ike has been in the game a long time. Ike is one guy that I have followed for many years. He's a veteran in the sport. He got a lot earlier start than guys like Jacob and Leomano Martinez, Adrian Yanez, who those guys are actually going to the Contender. But Ike, I would say he needs a couple more, for them to really look at him. And it's not that his skill set or anything like that. I think a lot of the times that age starts to play a factor in it. And when you start looking at the UFC or expecting the UFC to look at you, age is something that they consider before they even think about putting you on a Contender Series or short call. Ike has the right management behind him. He's got my full support. I will continue to give him fights and make sure that he shines and gets noticed. But I think age is going to be a factor. So as long as he can keep doing what he's been doing, he did finish Rashad Coulter. He did finish Roger Narvaez, both UFC vets. And I truly believe if the UFC gives him a shot, he'll do the same thing to some of those guys once he gets in there. But yeah, if I had to say, we're going to keep him active, I'd say he's maybe 2 or 3 fights away.
I agree with that, and I definitely hope they sign him because he's a banger. He loves to swing. He knocks people out, which we all know Dana White loves a good striker. So I really hope they sign him soon, and I hope you can keep him active. And then who are some other maybe top prospects in your organization that we might not know about that we should definitely be keeping our eyes on?
Well, people who don't know my 135 champ, Leomano Martinez, that kid is fire, And again, he's making all the right moves. He's signed with the top management companies. With one of the top management companies, he's with Jason House and Iridium. He should be on the Contender Series this summer. He got the call. Adrian Yanez got the call. He's another bantamweight. We have some guys that are coming up. Alden Correa, I'd say he's a 125er. He's going to be a top prospect. I like what I've seen from guys like Paris Moran, Gabe Echeverry, Francisco Obando. There's a ton of guys, man. I mean, I can't think of them all off the top of my head, but the list is long. The list is very long.
And you're a pro promoter for MMA and jiu-jitsu. Which one do you prefer to promote?
Well, I started training jiu-jitsu first, and that's kind of where I got my base. But I started fighting MMA, and I fell in love with it. So if I had to pick one, I hate to say it, but I think the MMA fights, would be my first love. And not to say that I don't have love for jiu-jitsu, because I absolutely love it. And I love Submission Hunter Pro. And we actually have some big announcements coming for Submission Hunter Pro once this thing with the COVID-19 gets lifted. But yeah, Fury FC will probably be my number one.
And what's the biggest difference in promoting a mixed martial arts event or promoting a jiu-jitsu event?
The size of the card, definitely. So, I mean, with MMA, you got 3 rounds. If it's a regular fight, you got 5 rounds if it's a title fight. So we kind of limit it to between 10 and 15 fights. And we'll cap it off at 15, obviously. With the jiu-jitsu, they're 1 round, 5 minutes or 7 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes if they're title fights. So you're looking at a 15 fight card. That's 30 fighters I have to deal with the MMA side of it. And you're looking at 35 to 40 matches on a Submission Hunter Pro card. So I'm dealing with 70 to 80 guys per event on those.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely a big difference. And I like the insight. I would have never even thought about that. So that's really cool. And I don't want to get too personal, but so if it's too personal, just let me know. But which one is more profitable?
People would probably say Submission Hunter is, but because I have my eyes on it, I'm gonna say Fury is, just because a Fury MMA card can draw a fan that doesn't know any fighter on the card. So you got fight fans out there that just love fighting. They'll tune in to UFC Fight Pass. They'll get on Flow Combat or Fight TV, and they'll just watch fights. As far as the jiu-jitsu part of it, a lot of the ticket sales and viewers come from people that they know that are on the card itself. So we do draw bigger crowds for MMA events than we do for Submission Hunter Pro, and it's basically because everybody likes a good fight, and not everybody has the insight on what's going on in just a grappling match when it's just jiu-jitsu.
And how long do you think until we see Fury fighting or Submission Hunter on UFC Fight Pass?
It's very soon. It's very close. We're very close.
I like that. You have a nice little smile, kind of hinting at something it looks like, because you guys definitely need to be on it. You guys have been around for so long. You guys put on great shows. Everyone's always tuning into your guys' stuff. So I definitely hope you guys get on UFC Fight Pass soon, because I think it would help UFC Fight Pass and probably help you guys out too, which I definitely think you guys need to be getting on there.
Man, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, we work hard. Even now that this stuff is going on, I'm in contact with my guys. We're building fight cards, and we are looking forward to getting back at it. And as soon as this thing lifts, I'm going to pump cards out for the rest of the year. A few times a month we'll be throwing shows in different cities.
And you're a Houston OG promoter. What really got you interested in becoming a promoter?
Honestly, when I started fighting, it was just legacy that was around, which was Lone Star Beatdown. And, the talent pool was so big and so many guys wanted to get on cards. And Mick Maynard, he's a friend of mine. He's a great guy. I respect him greatly. And he's given me a lot of guidance and insight on the promoting business. They didn't have enough shows going on that they could put everybody on that wanted to fight. So, I had time to do it, and I looked into it. I wanted to be a part of it. And I threw that first show, and I learned a lot, and then I fell in love with it. So basically, to give another platform for guys to have an opportunity to shine. That's why I did it.
And looking back on all your shows that you've put on together, which one, like your shows, which one is the most memorable show for you?
Oh man, that honestly, we had a card on February 23rd. That was one of our last ones, the Jacob Silva and Christian Lira card, and that was a sellout card, and it was an action-packed card from beginning to end. And we'll be 10 years strong in December, so for that was really, like, honestly, that was our first full sellout show. And that's going to be the one that sticks with me. And we're going to build, I always build momentum from event to event. So that 223 card, the 313 card was going to be following that. And this coronavirus thing happened and we had to cancel it. So I was really looking forward to seeing the momentum that we were going to build off that February 23rd one. But definitely the 223-20 card will always be one to remember.
Yeah, that was a great card. And was that your first time in that new arena too? It looked like a bigger arena.
No, we were at the Bayou Center. That was our fourth event at the Bayou Center in Houston. That was our fourth one.
And then, do you ever miss stepping in the cage as a fighter?
Yeah, I think about it all the time, man. I start thinking about how far could I have possibly went. I trained with a lot of the best guys around. I cross-trained. I got along with everybody. Being a promoter, you always have gym owners and whatnot that you become friends with because you have their guys on the card. You have the gym owners on the card, whether it be Submission Hunter or Fury. So they open their doors and they welcome me in, and I get to experience training with a lot of the best guys in the city. So a lot of times I'm like, man, if I would train like this, what could I have done? So it crosses my mind, but my family and my home life is very important to me. And fighting takes a lot of time. And at this level, the reward is not very big. That's why I respect every single guy that puts it on the line and gets in there, because I know that they're sacrificing a lot. And that's why, to me, it means so much when I can get them to that next level, or they get a contender contract, or they're going to see a bigger payday because I know the sacrifices that they have put in to make it that far.
I got to get your thoughts on Dana White. He's been trying so hard to put on all these events, even during the COVID-19 lockdown. He basically had this weekend's event locked down, but his partners made him step down. But he's still trying to do the May 9th event. I got to get your thought as a promoter on Dana White trying to promote during right now. Some people are giving him backlashes, while other people like me are praising him. What do you think? You think it's the right call to keep trying to do it right now, or do you think maybe he should wait until it's all over?
Man, I honestly, I think he's doing the right thing. He's got a passion for this sport. He wants to bring entertainment. He wants to keep his fighters busy. He wants to keep food on the table for everybody. Not everybody knows the situation with them. He's got a huge staff, I'm sure, thousands of employees. He wants to bring entertainment. He wants to keep the momentum going. I think he's doing right. If I could do it and I had the money and the backing that he's got, I definitely would try and do it. And he's trying to take the correct measures, I think, by saying, he'll do it in an empty arena. He'll only allow so many people. He'll get everybody tested. So he's not being foolish about it. So, I think what he's doing is fine.
I totally agree. I was really disappointed once I heard it got canceled. I think it was helping build uplifting moments for everybody, kind of looking forward towards it, trying to get back to normal reality. It sucks that it got canceled. Hopefully it does come back But I got to get your thoughts on that main event fight when it was between Justin Gaethje versus Tony Ferguson. Who do you think is going to win that fight and why?
I think Ferguson, honestly. He just has more tools, in my opinion, and he's got a lot of momentum that he's bringing into this thing. I know he was very prepared for the Khabib fight. Now, the Khabib fight is a totally different animal than Ferguson and Gaethje, but I was gonna go with Ferguson definitely versus Gaethje.
Yeah, definitely going to be a great fight. I can't wait for that fight. I actually like the fight better than the Khabib fight because both these guys are wild guys. They're going to go for it. I think it's going to be a great fight. But before I let you go, do you got any maybe special shout-outs to any sponsors or anyone on your team?
Man, honestly, I just want to give a shout-out to the whole MMA community, the whole grappling community. They are showing me that they are very eager for us to get back. They are going to stand behind us, and I know that when we bounce back and this thing lifts and we start pumping out shows, people are going to be lined up to hit those arenas and show up and watch what we have coming.
Well, thank you again for giving me some of your time and coming on my show, Combat Sports Coverage. And everyone needs to make sure to go follow Fury Fighting Championship and Submission Hunter Pro. And make sure to stay up to date with Eric Garcia for all these amazing shows he has coming on. And thank you again, Eric. And I hope you can get back to rolling out your shows and hopefully sometime soon.
Man, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Coverage. And I really hope y'all enjoyed that video. And if you did, please hit that like and subscribe button below. And make sure to follow us on all your social media accounts at Combat Sports Coverage. Well, until next time, my friends.